Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to work out the numbers of an e-commerce marketing campaign to figure out whether it's profitable or not. Because just because you're spending $1,000 on ads and you're getting even $10,000 back, that doesn't mean that you're making $10,000 in profit. You need to be able to reverse engineer all the numbers to figure out, right, what is the net profit that we're making for every $1,000 of ad spend, in order to be able to make the correct decision on whether we scale this. Now, I'm going to jump into my computer to share my screen, and I'm going to run you through the exact numbers that I do for all of my e-commerce clients. So to give you some context, guys, I'm a social media marketing agency owner for the past 6 years based in London. Now, typically we work with lead generation clients in the cosmetic industry and the info product industry, but we also have quite a large client base in the e-commerce space that, from cheaper brands that sell $50 to $100 products, all the way up to really luxury brands that sell in, the likes of Harrods, etc. So we have a really strong presence in the e-commerce industry, and we've been around the block. Now, what this video is all about, guys, is kind of stems from me being sick to death of people on TikTok and Instagram say, I've got a 10x ROAS. And it's like, well, where's the context behind that? Because if the profit margins of that 10x is fucking 90%, well, that's not very impressive, because you're actually losing money there. So you need to have context behind all of these figures. And in this video, I'm going to run you through the figures that you need to run through in order to figure out whether an e-commerce brand is scalable and is actually making money from their ad campaigns. So when we talk about ad campaigns, guys, you need to work out with the client what their break-even point is and what the maximum amount of money they're willing to pay to acquire a customer is. For example, if they sell an $100 product, which is inclusive of VAT. Now, if you're in the US, this is just a tax that any business that generates over £85,000 a year needs to pay. And yeah, that's all you really need to know, really. What the shipping cost is. So I'm writing this on a trackpad, so it's not the easiest. The cost of goods. So £100 including VAT. VAT in the UK is 20%, so that leaves £80. Shipping, say 4 or 5 quid, argument's sake, so that's £75 left. The profit margins on this are, say, I don't know, 20%, so that leaves £15. So the profit in this campaign, guys, is £15. So for every £100 product that this e-commerce brand sells, after VAT, after the shipping, and after the cost of goods, is £15, which therefore tells me, as the advertiser, I can spend up to £15 to acquire a customer to make this profitable. So if I'm spending £15, I'm breaking even, so that doesn't make me any profit. However, if the lifetime value of a customer is, I don't know, £45, so over the first year, when a client is introduced to this brand and they buy this $100 product, they buy it again 2 more times in the year, then you times this by 3, and that is a £45 profit, because every customer you bring buys this over the year, and that's, £45 over the year. So therefore, some clients will say, well, actually, because our repeat buyer percentage is so high, I'm actually willing to spend £30 to acquire a customer, because I know I'm going to make the money eventually. But ideally, in an ideal world, you want to make the initial purchase profitable and not rely on those repeat values, and that's just a bonus that they make money on. So guys, this is the step 1 of working with an e-commerce brand. You need to understand what they're willing to pay to acquire a customer. So in this, for argument's sake, on a £100 product, it's £15. So guys, now you need to extrapolate that in terms of when you're actually running the campaign. So if you're spending £2,000 on your ads, and typically your cost to acquire a customer is £10. That means you're going to generate 200 purchases in that month. Now, 200 purchases times the initial times the £15 profit, so it's costing you £10 to acquire a customer on ads, which generates 200 sales at £100. So the revenue is 20,000. But we know based off of the VAT cost, the shipping cost, and the cost of good cost, that they actually have a 15% profit margin on this campaign. So they're actually only making £3,000 in net profit. Now, that's not including the cost to run the ads, which is the final cost. So when we look at this, they're spending $2,000 on ads at a £10 cost per purchase, which is 200 purchases in that month, 20K in revenue, which is really nice. It's on paper a 10x ROAS. But after the VAT, after the shipping, after the cost of goods, they're making a net profit of 3K. But then you've got to minus the cost of the ads at 2K, which is now 1K left over. And if you're charging a 1K a month service fee, that then minuses the 1K and your net profit is now 0. So this is why it's so ridiculous, guys. When you see people on Instagram saying, "Oh, guys, I spent $2,000 on ads and look, the revenue's 20K. I've just 10x'd my money." But when you do the numbers, it's not even close. Like they've only just broken even. So to get a 10x ROAS to break even, there's problems here. So what do you do in this scenario? So what you need to do in this scenario, guys, is two things. You need to see if you can get this cost per acquisition lower. So you want to see if you can get that £10 a purchase down to £5, because then that trickles through and you make more profit based on your ad spend. But what lots of people make the mistake with in e-commerce is they think, right, let me squeeze as much juice as possible out of the ad spend I've got. When in fact, if you quadrupled this ad spend or 5x that ad spend to 10K a month without changing, hold on, if I just remove this, without changing the cost per purchase, so you don't need to improve the performance of your ads, you now spend £10,000 a month. Your cost per purchase stays at 10, which means you are now going to be generating 1,000 purchases a month, which 1,000 times 100 is 100K in revenue, minus the VAT, minus the shipping, minus the cost of goods, a 15% profit margin. You're now making 15K in net profit. You minus the 10K of the ad spend, you minus your 1K retainer. Now the client is making a 4K profit. So without changing the performance of your ads, without changing your retainer, without changing the net profit and the margins of the product, which could also be argued could be improved, you're now making a profit. However, what that is, the only way you get there is by getting more budget out of them. And if this is a startup brand and they can't afford to put 10,000 plus a £1,000 retainer into the project, you're not going to be able to get there. So, and these numbers are really over the top, guys. Like, to have a 15% profit margin is fairly common, but typically, like the e-commerce brands we work with have like a 50 to 60% profit margin. Now, if they have a really low profit margin, then I'd recommend them trying to sort that out as well, which is why you need to have a really good understanding of business as a whole. So, for example, if this became a 50% profit margin, this is considerably different. Even at a 2K a month budget, this, instead of making 3K off a 20K revenue, you're now making 10K, and that's 8K in net profit there. Equally here, that's 50K minus 10 minus 1. You've now got a 39K net profit there. So there's loads of different things you can do here, guys. So to improve the profitability of your campaign, firstly, you need to understand the figures. You need to understand what your break-even point is, what you're happy to pay for a customer to acquire one to make it profitable. Because there's no point you putting £2,000 of ad spend in, getting 200 purchases, but each purchase is £70 to acquire a customer. You've not done these numbers to figure out that you actually need to keep your cost per acquisition below £15 to make it profitable, and you're just losing money at a dramatic rate. So there's a few things, like I said, improve the margins of the product, which is going to be on the client side, but also make sure you have a substantial enough budget to be able to deal with what it takes to make some money. So those are the numbers of an e-commerce brand, guys. I'm going to do a second follow-up video on the numbers behind a lead generation client, but hopefully that puts things in perspective. Hopefully, if you're working with an e-commerce brand, this spurs you on to get on a call with a client and really crunch the numbers with them, because I don't know how you're going to survive without doing those numbers. But hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you're interested in learning more from me, the Digital Culture Academy 3.0 has now been launched. If you don't know anything about it, click the link in the description. There's an 18-minute video on there where I run through literally everything and how it works. And check out some of the videos on there, guys. I'm not one to scream and shout about testimonials all the time, but some of the agencies that this academy has built is fucking phenomenal. Check them out on the landing page. If you have any questions on what I spoke about in this video, message me on Instagram, Harry_SMMA, and we can go from there. But yes, please subscribe, guys. Continually listen to us on the podcast, and I shall see you tomorrow at 9 AM for tomorrow's video.